Hello everyone. I wanted to record this for you guys to help you kind of practice just going through, these trig values at the quote-unquote important angles, really the ones that are the quadrantals, and then the ones with reference angles 30, 45, and 60, which we're going to be spending a bit of time with. And you'll see them again in pre-calculus. So really I just wanted to help you see, the kind of the process that I like to go through that you could go ahead and memorize 102 values, 96 if you don't count 0 and 360 as two separate things, but that could take you a little while, and really you don't really learn anything out of that by just memorizing. So I do want to show you kind of like the process that I think is most logical to go through. So with these first two, they're quadrantals. 270 is right down here, which with our unit circle, 0 for the x, -1 for the y. Cosine, we know, is x over r, and with our unit circle, you have a radius of 1, so we're looking at just our x value. X value at this guy, just 0. That's my answer. Sine, y over r, so we're looking at our y value. 90 degrees is up here. Our point there is 0, +1, so our y value there is just 1. You would do the same thing as if we were doing 0 or 180, but I just kind of wanted to show you a wide variety of problems. So I've got sine of 225 and cosine of 300 next. For all of the rest of these that are not quadrantals, I do recommend thinking, okay, what quadrant is my angle in? We're going with our whole ASTC, all Santas take cookies. So 225 is more than 180, less than 270, so we are in quadrant 3. That is our tangent quadrant, so only tangent values are positive, so we are going to be negative in there. And then really, since I ended at a 5, my reference angle is pretty easy, it's just 45. So, with our trig handjive, put down your middle finger, since that's your reference angle of 45. Sine is below in your fingers, so I have 2 fingers below, and then I have a 2 in my palm, so root 2 over 2. And then, since we are negative, we're going to throw in that negative there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and say this now. If you're just going to watch this, it's not going to really do anything for you. Really, going through the trig handjive with me is going to help you a lot more and kind of help you get used to this and make it so that way you don't have to memorize 96/102 values. Cosine of 300. So that's going to be more than 270, so we are looking at our 4th quadrant, not quite at 360. And that is our cosine, so we are going to be positive. My reference angle, I need 60 more degrees to hit 60, or 360, sorry. So 60 is our index finger, so if you put down your index finger on your left hand, cosine is above, so I have 1 finger above that index finger. I've got my 2 on my palm. And if you want to just make sure that you know that you already took care of the sign, it's positive, so you could just put the little plus there. Next up, let's take a look at some tangent. So we're looking at 240. 240 is more than 180, less than 270, so we are in quadrant 3. AST, so we are positive. My reference angle, that is 60 degrees past 180. Remember, our reference angle is always with our x-axis. So for 60 degrees, we put down our index finger again. For tangent, we flip. I have 3 fingers above my index finger, 1 finger below, so I have square root of 3 over 1, which is just square root of 3. And then, like I said, if you want to put that little plus sign to show that yourself that, yes, I did take care of which quadrant it's in, you can. Tangent of 150, that is less than 180, more than 90, so we're in quadrant 2. AS, that is a negative for tangent. My reference angle is 30 degrees. 150 plus 30 gets me to that 180. So that is my ring finger. If we put down our ring finger, flip our hand, I've got 1 finger above, 3 fingers below, so square root of 1 over square root of 3, and if I rationalize, I have root 3 over 3, and we are negative due to our quadrant. Throwing in some radians. So 3 pi over 4. For these, I like to think about, okay, how much more or less than 1 pi, and then just kind of go from there. So this is more than half of a pi, less than 1 pi. So we are going to be in quadrant 2. If you wish to always convert these, you can. You're just going to always have that extra step that isn't necessarily necessary, but if it makes you feel more comfortable, go for it. So sine is positive in the second quadrant, and my reference angle for any pi over 4 is 45 slash pi over 4. So 45 degrees is our middle finger. Sine is below, so I've got 2 fingers below, and my palm of 2, and I am positive. Cosine of 2 pi over 3, that is again a little bit less than 1 pi, so it is in the second quadrant. In our second quadrant, AS, so cosine is negative there. I've got a denominator of 3, so I know my reference angle is 60 slash pi over 3 if I wish. So 60 is my index finger. Put down the index finger on your left hand. Cosine is above, so I've got 1 over 2, and it is negative, so negative 1/2. Throwing in some of our inverses. So if I'm looking at 7 pi over 6, that is going to be more than 1 pi, but it's definitely less than 1/2. It's just a little bit more than 1 pi. So we are in the third quadrant. Cosecant goes with our sine. So sine is negative in the third quadrant, AST. Reference angle for any sort of pi over 6 is 30 degrees. So 30 degrees, our ring finger. My sine of that, is below, so 1/2. So for cosecant, I just need to flip that. So I have 2, and I just need to make it negative. And that's my answer. For all of my inverses, I personally, at least, always go to whatever, like, its parent would be. Like, cosecant would go with sine, secant would go with cosine, cotangent with tangent, and then just flip my answer. If you want to do it a different way, you are obviously more than welcome. Next guy, we've got secant of 135. Secant is related to cosine. 135 is a little bit less than 180, so we are in that second quadrant. Cosine is negative in that second quadrant. I ended at 5, so my reference angle is already going to be 45. So put down my middle finger. I have, for cosine, I've got root 2 over 2. To flip that, I have 2 over root 2. Rationalize. And really, once you see this once, you really don't have to rationalize it every single time. Really, all we just have is just that root 2, and it's negative. So that's that guy. 2 more. So cotangent of 330. That is more than 1 pi slash 180, and we are a little bit less than 360, so we are going to be in the fourth quadrant. AST, since we're related to tangent, and then C for fourth quadrant. Cotangent is going to be negative since tangent is negative. My reference angle is 30, since I need 30 more to get up to 360. So put down my 30, which is my ring finger, flip it. So tangent is, I'm just going to write it as 1 over the square root of 3, just because we're going to flip it anyway. So my cotangent is just going to be square root of 3, and it's going to be negative. And lastly, another cotangent, which is going to be related to tangent. 225, a little bit more than 180, less than 270, so we are in the third quadrant. Tangent is positive in the third quadrant. And at a 5 again, so my reference angle is 45. Put down the middle finger. So I've got, once I flip, I've got square root of 2 over square root of 2, which is just 1. So if I flip 1, I still have 1, and I am positive, so 1 is my answer. So I hope that you were able to kind of like go through these with me, pause, rewind, whatever you need, just to kind of sort of get used to the process instead of spending 50 minutes just in class, kind of drilling this with the unit circle, which we will do a little bit of, but just that extra little reinforcement to help you get comfortable with this. So, hope that helps, and I'll see you in class.